My name's Armando Madrid.
And I'm Alex Madrid.
We met back in 2008. We were in our undergrad at UCLA. We dated for a few years and life happened and we decided to go our separate ways for a little bit because he was moving back to Fresno.
In that time, I ended up buying a house out there. I saw it as an investment, so the market was a great time to buy. So this was 2011 is when I started the process of buying a home for the first time. I believe I was 23 at the time, 24. It was a huge moment for me, like to be able to start this process on my own. I leaned more towards buying a house instead versus renting. That's the way my parents taught me, I guess. It's more like it was an investment. And something that I've always known is that, it's a 30-year commitment, it's a mortgage, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're in that home for 30 years. So I never liked the idea of throwing money away on rent. And so when I saw an opportunity to buy versus rent, I jumped on it. From beginning to end, working with a realtor, it's something that you need to do. It's not something you can do on your own.
Years passed, we decided to get back together, and that's when I decided to move to Fresno. So how we came encountered Nahid and her team was we were living in Fresno and we needed to kind of think of a different home for our growing family. So we decided to reach out to friends of mine that I was working with. We're trying to think, how are we going to look at homes from Fresno? It's going to be really challenging because we're not in the city where we're going to be looking at homes. My coworker at the time, Yesenia, her sister Jackie was looking for a home in Southern California, and so Yesenia's the one who made the referral. When Yesenia said contact Nahid, from what Jackie said, she's going to be upfront, she's going to be very warm and welcoming, and is going to find you the right home. And from the moment I text her, she called me right away. So we set up a Zoom call with her and she walked us through, and really that conversation put us at ease, knowing that even though we weren't living in the city, we wanted to look for a home, she was able to kind of work with us to ensure that we can find a home that we wanted, knowing the distance was going to be a challenge. What made it more comfortable to move forward with it was her energy. I think knowing that for me, compared to Alex's experience, I never bought a home. My family's first gen. I immigrated when I was 2 from Mexico, and so my family bought a home first when I was 14. So even starting the step of talking to a realtor was scary for me. I was anxious, but in talking to her, she calmed me down and said, hey, this is going to be an easy process. We're going to work together to make it happen. One of the concerns we had was, as a same-sex couple, we're like, if we go into a home, are we going to be discriminated against? So she right away said, that is not a concern. We're going to work with you, and we're a family, to ensure that when you go into a home, you're coming in as home buyers, not necessarily because you're a same-sex couple. So that for me eased that anxiety that I had. It was a very calming feeling to know that we had a support team, knowing that they were going to look for a home for our family.
Going into the market this time around, knowing how much the market had changed, that was a huge fear for me. And so I had to rely on Armando to kind of talk through those concerns. It's like, what are we getting ourselves into? Is it the right time to buy? And one of the things that we talked about right offhand is that we weren't going to sell our current home. It was an investment, so something that we would consider would be renting it out. So that put me at ease, knowing that there was no true rush to find a new home in LA, Los Angeles, to relocate.
And that was the opposite of me. So I was anxious the whole time because I didn't grow up thinking of buying a home as an investment. The thought of we're keeping this house, but we're gonna buy another one was something that him and I had to work through. I was trying to figure out, if we spend this much money or we save this much money to go into this new house, what happens to our old house? How do we afford, keeping one house to rent possibly, and then use our new income to buy a new home? I think it helped that he had gone through it already and kind of to follow kind of the footsteps that he had. So it kind of relieved some of the anxiety I had. So one of the things that I encountered as we were going through this process is we saw a home, and I fell in love with it right away. And working with Ness and going through the process of looking at the house, she made me put together a video. She had Alex write this whole story about our who we are to hope that the sellers would pick us. And after we left, I talked to Ness and I called him and I said, I think we found a house. I think everything worked out. Long story short, we didn't get the house. And when we got the news that we didn't get it, I was heartbroken. And I said, you know what, this is never gonna happen for us, because I felt like we put it all into this situation and it was just taken back. Like, I saw ourselves in that home. And talking to Ness, she said, you know what, this is gonna happen more often than you probably want, and it's part of the process. And in talking to her and seeing other homes, I was able to kind of get over it. What made us pick this house, it was unique because it was on a kind of a end of a cul-de-sac, sort of. The backyard looked exactly what we're looking for Adrian, and it felt like home. And I remember Ness called me that day and said, it doesn't seem like you enjoy the house. And I said, you know what, I was so heartbroken from before, I don't want to get my hopes up. And so we submitted the offer, and no, lo and behold, because of the seller was looking for a family to grow in this home, it just was like fate that this was our home.
Something I would definitely recommend for someone who is going through this process again, maybe it's a different market, maybe it's just a different experience altogether, is really trust your team. Know who you're going into business with, whether it's like for your home or an investment property. Work with a team that knows what they're doing. Like, something that we felt from the very beginning is we felt that sense of community and family from Nahid and her team.
This past week, my friend messaged me on Instagram and said, I called Nahid. She's like, well, I saw her videos and I saw that y'all posted when you all got your home, so I connected with her, so she's my new realtor. And I said, oh, okay, well, let me tell you what you're gonna get with Nahid and her team. And I said, she texts as a group message with the whole team, so I think every step of the way you have people that are, answering questions, that are giving you updates on the process. So, but again, I think that alone allowed us to feel like, we can trust someone. So when someone's looking for a home, that referral is something that's gonna be easy for us to make, because it just felt like an easy process, at least for us.
Yeah, and under the fact that the referral initially made its way all the way up north as far as where we were, that was huge for us too. Mm-hmm. So someone, we weren't living here in the area, so we wouldn't have found this team if it wasn't for that referral. So for that, I'm grateful, I'm thankful. Mm-hmm. We have our home because of that.
What's your favorite social media platform? Is it Facebook? Is it YouTube? Or is it Instagram? You can always find me at Nahid the Realtor or stateofgrace.com.